let's get cracking. So this is what we're all here for today, isn't it? Downtime Tracking 101, how to measure and improve asset reliability. This webinar is going to be hosted by myself. I'm Mary Kavanagh. I'm Customer Success Manager here at MaintainX. If I already work with you, nice to see you. If I don't work with you yet, I'm sure we'll get the chance in the future. I can't wait to do so. And co-hosting today is my wonderful colleague, Colin, over in product marketing. Colin, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary. My name's Colin. I work in product marketing here at MaintainX, and it's a real pleasure to be back on a webinar. Really proud and excited to show what we've built today.
Oh yeah, we love giving these webinars, guys. So thank you so much for joining. Let's hop into it. This is what we're going to be covering today. Basics first, of course, a little introduction. Then we'll get into asset status specifically. And we're going to talk about the why, the what, and the how of asset status. We're then going to do a little demonstration. I'll share my screen with you all, and I'll take you through some of my favorite points. And then we will introduce Asset Health Insights. So this is super exciting. This is a really big new feature that we've released within the past month here at MaintainX. So we'll talk to you a little bit about what that is, how to use it, how to get best value from it as well. And Colin will be showing you through that module as well. We'll then chat a little bit about how to get started with these features. And of course, don't forget to stick around for our live Q&A. We'll be answering all your burning questions at that time. So, as usual, a little bit of information about MaintainX here. I know we have some people who've been customers for a very long time, some who may be newer, and that's all right. We'll tell you what we are. So, MaintainX is on a mission to transform the way frontline professionals manage the equipment and facilities that power our world. We are building for the long term, so pushing innovation in mobile workflows, real-time analytics, and open APIs. And we really partner with our customers. So we have a world-class team here that develops and supports our product with industry expertise in manufacturing facilities and more. So really, there should be someone with every realm of experience here at MaintainX, and we're designing things for you to work in the most efficient way possible. Got a lot of different companies using MaintainX here, and as I always tell my customers, it does not matter if you're a large multinational corporation or if you're a mom and pop shop, there's a place for everyone within MaintainX, and we can get benefit from features, not least those features we're going to be talking you through today. So let's kick us off. Introduction done. Let's get into it. I'm curious to know, for everyone we have on the call today, how are you currently identifying your most problematic assets? Now, there is no right or wrong answer here, be honest. We have a few options. Are we tracking them within MaintainX? Are we using a system separate from MaintainX? Are we using spreadsheets, pen and paper, or just going off gut feeling, experience, anecdotal evidence, whatever it might be? I'm curious to see if this lines up with my recent calls with my customers and what people have been saying on there. Alrighty, those votes are coming in. We'll let that percentage get a little higher. We've got about 70% response right now. Let's see if we can get to 80, and then we'll share them with you all. Alrighty, should we share those results? Perfect. So I am thrilled to see 38% currently managing them within MaintainX. That's amazing. Really happy you're taking use of that functionality. Hopefully today we can give you some more information, some more insights of how to deepen that usage as well. A few people using a system separate from MaintainX. Maybe we can make some comparisons today. That'd be good to see. And a lot of people here using spreadsheets, pen and paper, or going off gut feeling and experience. So if we total those up right there, we're looking at about 57%. So those are more kind of archaic methods that we'd be looking at, things we've seen in the past. So what we want to see is how can we take all that wonderful experience that you guys have, all the methods that you're currently using, and how do we combine them and put them into a system that's going to take a lot of work off your hands and make things that bit more efficient. And that's what we'll be talking about today. Thank you for your contributions. All righty, let me get rid of this. There we are. So firstly, the what. Really important we start with the basics here. What is asset status? So before we hop into, a lot of information on it, what are the basics? Well, asset status is a key building block in tracking downtime. Whether by your definition, an asset is up, whether it's down, whether it's out of production, whether it may be, just in storage, whatever it may be, it's your way of designating what state that asset is currently in. So of course, if we're thinking manufacturing and production, this may be just uptime, downtime, whether it's planned, whether it's unplanned, whatever it might be, we can pop that in there. If we're thinking more for a hospitality business, is something in use? Is it on hold? Is it down for a service? We can pop those in there as well. If you're a rental business, is something in-house? Is it on loan? If we're looking at more fleet management, is something in use? Is it in for servicing? Has it been decommissioned? Whatever it might be, it's really anything to dictate the state of a current asset. Now, you can have various different asset statuses within MaintainX. Of course, will come with the default online, offline, pretty basic, right? And you'll also see do not track to exclude it from your reporting. Those are the three we'll naturally come with. But you can create as many custom statuses as you want. So if you have some internal ways of, measuring things and designating things already, you can absolutely use those. And we want to make sure that we use those so we know what amount of time everything spends in each status. But more on that later. Let's chat a little bit about those statuses and best practices. Now, as a customer success manager here at MaintainX, I help my customers optimize and set things in place that are going to last long term. And that's something I'm really conscious to do with asset status as well. So my recommendation here, first thing first, when it comes to our statuses, we want to refine. We want to review our current verbiage and enter that into MaintainX. I find it works best if you stick as close to your existing practices as possible. When you come on and use MaintainX, it's not about changing the way that you run your entire operations. It's about fitting MaintainX into that, making sure that we go along with how you run your operations most efficiently. So we're going to refine. We're then going to standardize. If you have multiple sites and you're looking to report across multiple sites, very important that we're using the same terms across each site so that we can make direct comparisons. So standardization, big point there. And my favorite, if you're on our enterprise package, of course, you have access to our custom permissions. So you can actually lock those in. You can utilize your custom permissions to lock those custom statuses and ensure maybe only a couple of people have access to add or edit those. But for most people, we can just use what's already there. That'll ensure your data cleanliness for the long term. So we know what asset status is. That's clear now, I hope. Second point, why should we be using this? Well, what's the purpose of it? Well, without asset health insights, manufacturers are unable to forecast. We're overspending, we're producing less, and wasting a lot of time on reporting. After speaking to a lot of our customers, this is something that came up again and again and again. Without visibility into our assets, what's available, what's not available, what's problematic, what's not, we don't know how to invest our time and energy. So how can we then create a robust PM plan? What we're doing then is focusing on theory or anecdotal evidence as opposed to real-time data. We're unable to forecast in that case because we can't use trends. So we can't plan our resources accordingly. How do we know how much money to invest in a specific asset, how much labor to invest in a specific asset, how many parts we're setting aside for future services? We're kind of going off the ballpark. That results in us spending more than necessary on maintaining assets because we cannot identify bad actors and root causes of failure. So again, more time, more labor, more parts, everything's going into these assets because we aren't able to actually really narrow it down and see what is problematic and why. That often results in production losses, mainly for two different reasons. One, the PM plan is not as effective as it could be, so your unplanned downtime is higher. We want our focus to be on that production goal, right? If we're in manufacturing. So if we want everything to be as efficient as possible, we're going to have the data to back that up and make sure things are running just as slick as they can. The last point on here is an interesting one. And it's something Colin and I have heard, kind of a lot of times here. We're getting more and more and more requests to demonstrate those root causes of failure, right? Now, you may have heard it from your manager, your executive, something's gone down. We had unexpectedly high downtimes on, say, line one. Why was that? What was happening? Was it, something that was specifically wrong? Was it an operator error? What's happened there? And you might be spending a lot of time then going backwards and trying to analyze in the past and pull different spreadsheets together and run data analysis and do all these kind of things. Well, asset status can take that off your hands. It's going to make it a lot easier. We're going to be recording things as we go, and as opposed to spending time compiling that data, it'll be right there ready to go. So let's look at the positives. So that's enough negative. With asset health insights, manufacturers are able to maximize budget, to increase parts and labor efficiency, and to maximize the asset lifespan. So these final 2 points are really the way in which we're maximizing budget here. We're going to have the most effective PM plans, know exactly how many parts we need at what time, and know how to plan our labor in advance. By properly maintaining things then, by not over or under maintaining any assets, we're maximizing that lifespan. Never a bad thing. Beyond manufacturing, I'm quite conscious that we spend most of our time on these webinars speaking about the manufacturing industry, where we have a lot of customers at MaintainX that are across different industries as well. So I put a couple of examples in here just for us to chat about. Firstly, the hospitality industry. We're looking at faster turnaround on rooms and equipment. We're looking at increased visibility and profit from room availability and better planning again on equipment replacement. This is something I've seen really successfully adopted by hospitality companies thus far. And then property managers as well. I know one of the biggest difficulties is knowing when is something being worked on by a contractor, when is something out, when is it in? We don't really know. It's going to help with that higher visibility on contractor work progress. We're looking at better work ticket and request closing time, and we're looking at increased tracking visibility on those closed requests as well. So more reporting functionality there. And with that, how? How are we going to do this? How are we going to record everything? Great question. So as I was mentioning before, I find the most successful adoptions of MaintainX and new features as well are when we slot it into your existing routines. So record asset status without deviating from your typical standard routine. We've done this, enabled this via several different ways. Firstly, you can record asset status on either desktop or mobile. You can do it via a work order while creating it or while completing it. You can do it via an asset. You could record an asset status via a request as well, something we'll talk about in just a minute, and even automate it via a REST API. So whatever is going to make the most sense for you, there's a way in MaintainX of doing that, and I will demonstrate most of these in just a second. It's time. Let's hop on into the system. Alrighty, so hopefully this is a familiar screen. At this point, this is our work orders screen in MaintainX. So firstly, let's start within an asset. We have our list of assets and sub-assets right here. And as you can see, there's a bar right at the top, status and reliability. You can see when the last update was made, just so happens to be me, and you can see the current status as well. Now, if I were to come in here and want to change the status, no problem. We'll just click on this down arrow. And there we go, we can mark it as offline. Whenever you change the status of an asset in MaintainX, we're going to see this pop up right here. We can add any notes in to leave further detail. We can select if it was a planned or an unplanned downtime as well. That'll be really helpful with your reporting after the fact. And we can choose when something has been offline since. So I'm actually going to say this has been offline for an hour. Something I get asked very often is, can we do this after the fact? Absolutely. I appreciate, sometimes things don't get recorded in real time. You can definitely backdate a downtime. And then we go. We have updated our asset status right there. Second point, let's look at work orders. Now, you can record an asset status via creation or completion of a work order. So let's make one together. We're going to say compressor down. And again, I hope your work orders contain a little bit more information than mine do. As usual, we could put a procedure in here, decide who to assign it to. I'm going to assign to myself, say when it's due. Today, I'm going to put that priority as high, downtime, so we're not going to have a repeating schedule, hopefully. And I'm going to pop in here, it's on my air compressor. Now you can see the current status of that is offline because we just denoted it as offline within the asset. But I could have done that direct in here. We could have started out online. We could have started out in equipment failure, whatever it may be. You can select any of your preset or custom asset statuses within here. Again, we're able to select the downtime type and when it's been offline since. So there we go. We can record our asset status while we are creating a work order. Now you can also do it while completing it. So we're coming here, I've seen my work order, I've gone to my compressor, done the work that needs to be done. I'm very quick and efficient, apparently. And then all I would do is select where it says offline right here under my asset, and I'm going to flip that back to being online. There we go. Now, for argument's sake, let's just backtrack a second. Let's say I actually didn't mark that as back online. We just kept it as offline. When I go to mark this work order as done, we have a new pop-up right here. So if I didn't mark it back online whilst I was completing the work order, no problem. You are going to be prompted as soon as you click done. Work order is done. Is air compressor operational? No, keep it offline. You do have that option. Sometimes we don't fix things in one shot. Or yes, you can put that asset back online. If so, same as usual. There we go. So we've seen via an asset, we've seen via a work order, both in creation and completion. One fun thing I'm very excited to share with you guys is how to record asset status via a request. Now, this is a new feature. You may not see it in your account yet. It's because that will be being released in the coming days here at MaintainX. So you got it here, hot off the press. I just flipped my permissions here so that I'm now a requester. I only have request level access to the system. So as usual, I'm going to go on new request in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to start making my request. There we go. As usual, can choose if there's a team I want this to be routed to. I can choose my priority, and I can put the asset in here. Now, just like within creating a work order, I now have the option to select from my asset statuses. I'm going to say it's offline, unplanned, Stacey, and offline since now. There we go. There you go. Now, when I'm an admin, let's just flip my permissions back. I can see my request come through with any updates to the status as here. And as per usual, I can push this on through, approve it, and there we go. It's in the work order. The asset is already offline. So you can now do this via a request as well. That's something that I think has been asked for a lot in previous months. So I hope I have some smiling faces on this call right now. Very happy to see that feature. Okay, so that's our data collection within MaintainX. Very, very commonly asked question as well is, can we automate this? You know, I don't want people to have to write it down. I'm experiencing a lot of operator errors. I don't want to have to go back in and check things or things are being missed. Well, absolutely you can. And MaintainX has an open API. And if I may say so myself, we have some of the most clean API docs I have ever seen. So if you want to automate this, no problem at all. I have taken the liberty of opening up our API docs. You can find them just by Googling MaintainX REST API. 3 different things I want to highlight here. We have this endpoint right here. This contains the status for a specific asset so that you can see if it's online or offline. We have a webhook right here that will let you know instantly when an asset changes status. And right here, we have an endpoint to allow you to set the asset status programmatically. So if you would like, it to be connected, as soon as something goes down, it's reflected within MaintainX, you can absolutely achieve that using our API documentation. Alrighty, so we know how to collect our data now. How do we customize things? A lot of questions we get asked around customization. Well, as I mentioned, we want to make sure that those statuses line up with the verbiage and the words you guys currently use internally. So within MaintainX, hop on down into your settings in the bottom left-hand side, and we're going to go right to features. We're going to pull up assets, and we're going to go to asset status right here, new field. You may not have noticed before. Now, when we hop in here, you can see I already have some custom statuses here, but if you want to make a new one, say do not track, I'm going to put decommissioned in here. And there we go. We've made a custom status. So you can really make in here, you can edit them if you want to, you can remove them if you know over time it's not useful anymore. You have full discretion here as to what your asset statuses are. Let's hop back to an asset level. A couple of different things I'd like to show you here on reporting on an individual asset level. We've got our data collection, we've done customization, but now why have we recorded that? What's it useful for? Well, that would be right here. Let's take our compressor, for example. If I go on see history, I'm going to pull up a history of every status, every status that's been recorded in MaintainX historically. So you can see our statuses we've got right here, and you can see the history. I've got my total uptime, my total unplanned downtime, and my total planned downtime as well. So of course, very important to make that distinction, and you're able to do so within MaintainX. I'm currently just seeing a week. It's been a big week for this air compressor. But if I wanted to, I could take it up to 6 months and see every unplanned downtime we had, every planned downtime we had. And I could, of course, dig into this and see, why has this happened? What was going on at the time? I can see all my historical entries in here as well. If I want to see who recorded it and why, what the status was, what any notes that were left were. For example, we had an electrical fault right here. Maybe I want some more information on that. If I click on this reading, you'll see we have a pop-up on the side right here. You go on these 3 dots right here, you can always edit it. So of course, again, something we get asked often is, what if something's incorrectly recorded? Well, no problem at all. Come in here, you can edit it. You can change the times, you can change whether it was planned or unplanned, and even add additional notes in here if you'd like to capture some more information. So this is really handy on an individual asset level to see kind of trends over time. We're having more and more unplanned downtimes. When I look at this graph, it's a little concerning to me because if you notice, we had mostly planned downtimes in the past, but in recent days, I've been getting a lot of unplanned downtimes here. That would be an indication to me I need to dig into this. If you want to share this with someone maybe outside of MaintainX, you can, of course, export the data right here and send it on along to them. So when I was mentioning before, this is going to save us a lot of time from digging through information and trying to compile it. That's what we can do right here. So we've taken a look through everything here on the desktop view. A lot of people, of course, when we're on the field or on the floor, we will be using the mobile view of MaintainX, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a phone, whatever it might be, you'll be using a tablet. And you want to record this information in real time so that we don't deviate again from your usual processes. Now, I'm going to share my phone screen with you, and we're going to take a look and see what it looks like on that end. Just loading. There we go. Okay, so again, hopefully a familiar screen. We're on our mobile version of MaintainX. Everything I've just done on the computer side of things when it comes to recording asset statuses can be done from the mobile end as well. So whatever your usual flow is, if you go to due today, pull up a work order and your task from there, follow your usual flow. Open up that work order. I'm going to scroll down here until I see my asset. And as you can see, I've got my asset status right here. All I need to do is click into that, and then I'll be able to select the current status. So say offline, we have the same questions as we had on the computer. I'm going to note that that's an unplanned downtime, and I could even add in times and add a note. I just click update, and there we go. It's been done. Exactly the same if we want to head into our assets. I can record this on an asset level as well. So let's see an example. We were looking at our compressor. I can see my status right here, and I can set it this way. So really come in here and have a feel around for everything that you can see on mobile as well as desktop. We've tried to make it super accessible on both so that you're able to see the history, for example. We're able to edit the statuses in just the same way, 3 dots in the top right if we want to make any edits. Everything you can do on that desktop version, you should be able to do on the fly as well. Again, just to hopefully stop us having to deviate too much from our typical processes. And I think that just about covers asset status from my end. So let's hop back over here and get into something really exciting. Introducing Asset Health Insights. This is our newest release on the asset health front here at MaintainX, and I cannot wait to show it with you. The data comes specifically from your asset status usage. So everything we've just gone through, if you're thinking, yeah, but Mary, I've been using this for a year already. Amazing. You've been compiling data, and now we're going to see how we can pull that all together and help you make some really big insights organization-wide. You're able to monitor that asset performance in real time. Now, not just on an individual asset level here. As you can see, this is across all our assets that we're tracking. You can see your overall trends here. You can get better visibility into downtime and costs. A lot of people ask us about collating your downtimes and your costs. That's what we're going to help with here. And we can perform fast root cause analysis. We spoke a lot at the beginning of this webinar about the effects of not being able to identify bad actors and do your root cause analysis. This is going to help you out a lot. So, bit of a teaser there, showing you a little bit about what it can do, but now I'm going to hand over to Colin and he's going to take you through it in a little bit more depth.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's teased me up perfectly for demonstrating asset health reporting. And, I love seeing how easy it is for technicians to record downtime and how many different ways within the product they're able to record downtime. So what I'm going to show you now is really, in addition to the per asset analytics that Mary showed you, what those kind of organization-wide, site-wide insights are that you can get when you're tracking downtime inside MaintainX. And you can see already from this screen, this is the new tab in reporting for asset health. You can see right away the wealth of information that you're able to get. What's really important to call out right away with this is that almost everything you see on this screen is based on asset status changes. So that's kind of a departure from our basic reports inside MaintainX that you see on the summary screen. There, pretty much everything you see is based on work orders. Here, everything is at the asset level. It's asset level reporting. And why that's important is that it essentially allows you to track downtime more accurately and more precisely. Because as you'll know, the length of time that a machine is down is not necessarily going to equate to the length of time that a work order is open, for example. So, what we want to do is we really want to make sure that those insights you get on downtime are as precise and as accurate as possible, because that's what's going to help you to improve your PM plan and ultimately save money. So I'm just going to start at the top here. What we see at the top is the current status. So like Mary said, this is real-time monitoring. So this is like a snapshot of how you're doing across your organization right now. So the date range that you have selected at the top, that's not going to impact this reporting in this top report, because by its nature, it's real time. It's designed to be how are we doing right now. So the date range is not going to impact this, but you can still apply filters to this current status report. So, I can see here that my asset availability for the last 30 days is 69%. For any of you that are tracking things like OEE, this is a great metric to be able to feed into that calculation. But, it may not tell the whole story. Let's say I want to see the asset availability for just my critical assets. What I can do is I can quite easily filter here for criticality. If I select critical, you can now see that my asset availability has changed, because now I'm only seeing my critical assets. That's impacted the data that's displaying for all of these reports. A cool thing to point out here is that, as with all of the reports really on this screen, most of the elements are interactive. So if I want to see what are these two assets here that are offline, that are unplanned, I can just click into it and I can immediately see what these assets are. If I want to click in from here, I can then go back and see, look at that screen that Mary showed before for each individual asset. When did that downtime happen? How has that downtime trended over time? So that's that kind of real-time snapshot. The next thing I want to show you, it was interesting to me that I think 28% in that poll we did earlier said that you were using gut feeling to identify problematic assets. So the reality is, your gut feeling in many cases is going to be right, but it doesn't help you to take action confidently, and it definitely doesn't help you to make a case for change to stakeholders in your organization. For that to come about, you really need the numbers. So this most problematic assets table is full of numbers. It gives you that data that you need to make a case for things like, changing your PM plan, making adjustments, potentially even replacing an asset that's causing you a lot of trouble. And so what we wanted to do with this table is make it really, really easy for you to see which assets are draining your resources the most. So you can see here, by default, asset by asset, you can check out things like the number of failures. You can sort the table by that. You can sort the table by unplanned downtime hours. You can sort it by also cost. The labor and parts cost that you see here, this is the only thing in the asset health insights that is based on work orders. So this labor and cost information is still coming from work orders that were associated with these assets. But these other columns here on downtime hours and failures, they're coming from those asset status changes that Mary showed you earlier in the webinar. Note that, if you want to see, this is just a selection of my assets. If you click on see more here, you can see every asset in your organization For me right now, I don't have too many in my asset register, but if you did have hundreds of assets in here, you could use this search. You could very easily navigate to the things that you want to see. A few kind of like quick insights that I can get off the bat here is like, when I look at my costings for these assets, I see here 2 forklifts. Forklift number 9 is costing me, around 3 times the amount that forklift number 7 is costing me. So right away, you're able to kind of compare and contrast. This is something that you might want to investigate, right? Why is it that we're spending so much extra on one forklift when, essentially it's the same make and model? Another thing that you can do with all of these reports is you can change the way that they're grouped. So here I'm seeing asset by asset. I could actually look at what location is the most problematic. And you can see here, like the failures and the costs for various production lines that you have, various warehouses that you have, different locations at your site. And even again, for downtime reasons. So these are the custom asset statuses that Mary showed you before. Here you can see how many failures and how much unplanned downtime was caused by these individual statuses. So, this really gives you that hard dollar cost information that you can use to potentially make a case for replacing an asset that might be costing you more than it was, say, 6 months or a year ago. And another one of those kind of compare and contrast things that you might want to set up inside Asset Health Insights is to look at, okay, what are these assets costing me in the last 3 months? How does that compare to the last 3 months at the end of last year, for example? Okay, so moving down, unplanned versus planned downtime. So prioritization is, one of the keys to effective maintenance. Are you spending time and resources on the most important things? How do you even know what the most important things are? So what we wanted to do with both of these reports at the bottom is help you to prioritize your efforts. So again, I'm going to pick on these two forklifts here. We can see again, following on from that insight we got above around the cost, I can now see that forklift 9 has quite a bit more unplanned downtime than forklift 7, which has a little bit more planned downtime. So that's going to help you to investigate how you're doing PMs on those equipment. Does 9 need more PM to lower that unplanned downtime amount? Does it need different PMs? Are we doing the right PMs on these forklifts? You can toggle off unplanned and planned if you want to just see one. Ultimately, where you want to get to in most cases is for this planned amount, of course, to be higher and the unplanned amount to be lower in general. And when you actually click, again, these graphs are also interactive. So if I click on forklift 9, I can see that asset level insight to see like when did this unplanned and planned downtime happen. So that's going to help you again to kind of diagnose what the problem is there. And again, what we can do is we can group differently. So if I want to group by asset type, here I can see my forklifts there. Depending on how you're using asset type here, this is another way to like slice and dice that data. And it really just helps you to understand which equipment is causing the most unplanned downtime, and of the total downtime on each piece of equipment, how much of that downtime is planned and how much is unplanned. And then finally, we are going to look at root cause analysis, right? So this is where you can really get an understanding of why is your equipment failing, and this is going to help to guide you in, again, prioritization. What issues do you really need to address first in order to tackle that reliability problem that you may have? So you can see here, all of these downtime reasons are based on the custom statuses that Mary showed you how to set up earlier. So you can really configure what you want to display here and how you want to categorize your downtime reasons in a way that works for you. Again, super interactive. So I can see here that electrical issues are my main cause of downtime on my critical assets. If I click on the electrical bar, I'll now get deeper insight. I can drill into here and see which of my equipment has the most electrical issues. So we're saying there's an HVAC up here that's causing that's down for a lot of electrical reasons. And then I can also draw attention to this cumulative total line. So you can toggle this off if it's not useful. The goal of this line is to help you prioritize, because essentially what you can do is you can say, if I was to address the top 3 downtime reasons, you can see their cumulative total 67%. So you would be addressing 67% of your reliability problem. So again, it helps you to understand, like, what do I tackle first? And how much of my problem am I resolving by tackling 1, 2, or 3 of these reasons? So again, super useful insight for you. Once you really understand what is causing the most downtime to happen, you can then create more confident action plans about how you're actually going to tackle those problems and how you're going to improve reliability across your organization. A couple of things I do want to draw attention to. Mary mentioned earlier about how some of you will be managing multiple sites. There is an organization button up here. What makes these reports even more powerful for those of you that are on the enterprise plan and are managing multiple different organizations for MaintainX? If you have the permission to do so, you can actually pull insights from multiple organizations into the same dashboard. So now you're talking about comparing and contrasting downtime at one site against another. And that's what's really going to help you to unlock efficiencies. Like is this equipment performing better at this site than it is at this site? And then you can start to really diagnose and pull apart opportunities to drive efficiencies at sites that are maybe performing less well. And then again, I wanted to draw attention as well. This is something, custom dashboards is something that you do have on premium. Premium accounts have 3 custom dashboards. If you upgrade to enterprise, you get unlimited. All of the reports that you're seeing here can be added to a custom dashboard just in the same way that they can on your summary screen. So for example, if I have a dashboard set up for my site manager and I want to add this planned and unplanned downtime graph to it, I can just simply do that, hit save. And now when I go into the custom dashboards and I look at my site manager's dashboard, we've already set up some insights in here for the site manager. He or she is able to see on-time completion, created versus completed. And you can now see at the bottom, we've got this unplanned versus planned downtime graph, which can be filtered individually. So if I just want to see the last month, I can do that. If I want to set up the time to see, this year, I can also do that. And a really effective use of custom dashboards is to create dashboards for those different stakeholders or individuals at your organization that ask for insights. So you can see how here I've got a regional manager dashboard set up. And if I was to, maybe that person is not so interested in the asset by asset downtime amount, but they want to see across locations or across districts how downtime varies. What I can now do is filter it like that. Add that to my regional manager's dashboard, and then I can say, unplanned versus planned downtime by location, save, and you can see how easy it was for me to now supplement the regional manager's dashboard with new asset-centric insights. So that's really what we have. Super proud of what we've built here and very, very excited to roll it out to you. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this to come around. So yeah, I really hope that you can use these insights to improve your PM plans, to save costs. And with that, I'll pass it back to Mary.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colin. It is fascinating and so glad to see how we can pull everything together there. So if you want the long and short of it, asset status is going to help you capture that data on an individual asset level. Those asset health insights are going to help you pull that data together, dissect it in all sorts of different ways, and find exactly the asset insights that you're looking for. Asset statuses, everything I showed you, is available within our premium Asset Health Insights Enterprise feature. So if it's something that you don't have available right now that you're very much interested in, feel free to reach out to myself, my team, your account manager, and we will help you figure out what's going to be best for you there. We spend a lot of time making sure that our customers get exactly the reporting insights that they're after. So if this has sparked, a few questions in your mind of, how you're running things internally and maybe some optimizations you might like, please don't be shy to reach out to us. We're all on board and more than happy to help. With that in mind, getting started. Colin, Mary, I love this. I want to do this as soon as we get off the phone today. Well, don't you worry. We got you covered. How are you going to get started here? Firstly, decide on those asset statuses. Again, try and make them aligned with what you're currently doing. Standardize them across your sites and lock them in if necessary. Second, start recording those asset statuses via work orders, via your asset list, via reporting in a couple of days as well, or even building that API connection if you are very tech savvy and want it to be automated. Third thing, let that data build in reporting. There's nothing you have to do to push that information through to reporting. It does it automatically on the back end. You're going to let that build until we have enough to work on then, to act on insights to improve asset reliability and lifespan. When you have that data, I'm confident for each and every one of you, there may be a few surprises in there that will really dictate, what you want to look into first. And of course, as you're getting this set up, as you're making those insights at any point, top tip, access the MaintainX Help Center for assistance. We have a lot of preset articles in there that could be really helpful. You've got the MaintainX Academy to teach you how to do various things as well, in the bottom left of your screen when you're on MaintainX. You have our wonderful support team who will be happy to answer your questions. They've got an incredibly high satisfaction rating, and they respond typically within 3 minutes. And of course, you've got your account manager and your customer success manager on hand to help out as well. So really spoiled for choice with a level of support. Please don't be shy to reach out to us. We really want to make sure that you can get the most out of this. And with that, I think it may be time to head to some questions. So, Colin, I'll let you kick us off. Do you have any questions for me on asset status?
Yes, we do have a few coming in here. Question one, how can we create custom asset statuses?
Absolutely. So you are going to head into settings, bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You're going to go to features, and you're going to go to assets. So settings, features, assets. You'll see the option for customize asset status, and it's in there that you're able to add additional statuses, remove old ones, edit them, whatever it might be. So settings, features, asset, customize asset status.
Excellent. Okay. Can we trigger a work order when an asset status goes offline?
This is a really good question. Currently, there isn't something automatic that's going to run through when you pop that as offline. However, I would recommend, as it's released in the coming days, looking into that request functionality. I think that kind of ticks the box here. As soon as something is noticed to have gone down, typically we have that request submitted, right? They can dictate the asset status in that, and then you convert it into a work order. So in that one, you've kind of got a 2-in-1 with the recording of it being down and the generation of the work order. Again, any automations you want to do, we do have open API documentation. You're welcome to code something in, or you can also talk to our wonderful integrations team and see what flows we can build for you internally as well. So if that's something that's an absolute priority, reach out to us and we can point you in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. And then I have one more here. Can we automate asset status to go from offline to online based on asset repairs being completed?
Yeah. So absolutely, when you have an asset that's marked as offline and it's put in a work order, when you mark that work order as being done, that's when the pop-up will appear, allowing you to select it back online if relevant, and that would automate then it flipping back onto being online. So yes, there's no reason that you couldn't do that. 2 key things I think of when we're thinking of automation. One, when that work order is closed, yes, absolutely, it'll give you the prompt. If it's that you want it to be automated when that information is coming in, again, I'm going to direct you to those API docs. It's possible, we have the endpoints there.
Excellent.
Righty. Colin, would you like a question?
Go for it.
I'm going to let you take things on asset health insights. That's your area of expertise. Firstly, what reports are available to correlate asset downtime with costs incurred or revenue lost from non-availability of assets?
Okay, what reports are available? So I would recommend the most problematic assets table that I showed you in the demo. So this is a really good amalgamation of the costs across your assets for labor and parts. One tip I would have as well here is that what you can do, remember that inside your standard MaintainX reporting, you have time and cost reporting, which you can filter by reactive and repeatable. So I would say that's another way to look at costs based on how much of those costs were spent on reactive work and how much was spent on PMs. I would say when it comes down to revenue loss, that's a really interesting question. I think revenue loss is going to vary from one organization to the next, and even from one asset to the next. I would say that we are looking at ways of getting lost production costs into the system in future iterations of asset health. But for now, the downtime hour count that you have there, you can use that hourly amount to, if you know the cost of downtime for your organization for a certain group of assets, you can use that hour metric to calculate those costs.
Awesome. Another one for you. Can you elaborate on the importance of criticality in reporting problematic assets?
Yeah, so criticality, it really comes down to prioritization. I mentioned earlier, like you want to you want a way of understanding what's draining, where are our resources currently going, and where do we need to deploy more time and resources. So I think by setting criticality on your assets, by making it clear within the CMMS, which assets are the ones that will halt production, for example, if they go down, you can then get more focused insights on like, okay, how do we want to, what's worth our time and resources more? This is the category of assets that we're going to invest, that we're going to put more weight on, what we're discovering from downtime, where we want to put our resources. And it also just helps you to, it helps you to, when you go into your asset health reporting and you want that quick snapshot, it might be that you really want to focus, when you look at that asset availability percentage, for example, you really just want to see that for the assets that matter most to your organization. I think it also comes back to the cost question that we got previously. When you are trying to establish how much the downtime is costing you, it's going to have a different cost depending on the criticality of those assets. So making that delineation and setting up that criticality for your assets within MaintainX is going to just further help you to establish those costs.
Yeah, great point. Third question here, if we have time. Do we have time? I think we have a minute. What's the most effective way to report asset health, i.e. using the problematic asset history to plan for less unplanned downtime?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are multiple ways that you can do it. You can compare and contrast downtime costs for individual assets within the same asset type. That's going to help you to discover those assets that, maybe you're handling those assets the same way in terms of PMs, but one of them is costing you more. Another thing you might want to do is compare and contrast over time periods. So using that most problematic assets table for, the last quarter versus the same quarter in the previous year, that might reveal some assets that are costing you, that are becoming less reliable over time and are costing you more than they were previously. You can also use the other reports on there, planned versus unplanned downtime. That's another thing that you can use to see trends over time, to see where you might need to either do more PM on an asset that's having more unplanned downtime than it should, or adjust the PMs that you are doing. And then for the root cause analysis table, the unplanned downtime reasons, that can allow you to report on those causes of downtime. And it might be, that there needs to be more training on how to use assets, for example. And those are the types, that's a particular type of thing that root cause analysis might unearth. And that's something that may be of interest to your stakeholders. And when it comes to, reporting on and sharing those insights, I did just want to call out that there is an export button on the asset health dashboards, like there is on the summary reports. And so what you can do is, if you have stakeholders at your organization that are not using the system and cannot access those custom dashboards that I showed you, what you can do is you can export as a PDF those asset health insights, and you can ping them to your other people in your organization.
Absolutely. Of course, I would say sometimes it's going to be more helpful to have them in there so that they're able to, modify things as well, make their own custom dashboards, particularly if you're on your enterprise and you have unlimited custom dashboards. It's something that I think people could utilize a lot more, is having ones, really tailored specifically to people's needs. So you can always chat with your account manager about bringing that person on board as well. But if it's just, flat visual that we want, here we go, let me inform you of this. As Colin mentioned, export, you can send it to them right away. Really, really handy feature.
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty much time there. So just to wrap us up here, I would like to thank you guys for joining us today. It's a pleasure. Excited to see what you guys make of asset status and asset health insights in the coming months. And a reminder, don't forget to join us for office hours. Nick and I will be hosting office hours as usual. The next iteration is on December 19th at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And in that, it's a live Q&A session, so you can submit all of your questions. You can do it ahead of time. You can do it in the chat as well. And essentially, we'll be putting me on the spot for an hour, and I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can pertaining to anything MaintainX. Of course, you will be receiving, again, the recording of this webinar as a question come through in the chat just there. Absolutely. If you want to share this with your team or review it, keep an eye on those emails. Our wonderful team will be sending it over to you in the next few days. And between now and then, thank you guys for coming. Pleasure to have you, and we hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great day.